there is a good kind of deja vu. That's being at Roosters on a Monday, talking with Justin Zwick, Nicole Cox, Bobby Carpenter, Jeremy Birmingham.
It must be deja vu when she's with you.
That's the great kind. When it's the live show, brought to you by Tansky Power Sports and Bryant Heating Cooling Systems, I take that every Monday. Now, the bad kind of deja vu is looking at the scoreboard and seeing 13-10 again.
I mean, is that like the irony on that?
I don't know how that's possible, Bob.
Because that's the only way we can lose. Because I was assured by people on the defensive side of the ball, if we score 16, we win every game. Or at least we score 17, we win every game.
Yeah.
And I mean,
it would have worked. Yeah.
It holds true. Yeah. And if we could miss by the way, like, and the manner of which it happened with some
another missed field
goals.
Very similar.
In a dome. Like, there's no wind. There's no cold. That nice ball is nice.
Maybe that's what's hard about it.
That looked like
you're
me on
used to that.
On the first tee box when I haven't warmed up.
There's no way. I know Nicole was just in pain. She's talked all year about the kickers and Jaden Fielding, and then here we go again.
Yep. I you know how I feel about it. I just don't, and I get it. It's their job, but I also feel that it takes. I mean, if you're down to the point where you have to rely on the kicker, it took the team dropping the ball here and there for it to get to that point. So it's just they take the brunt of all of it. And, I don't know.
There is the argument where, like, just score a touchdown.
Leave no doubt, knock them out, I'm told.
Yes.
And that's part of it.
All right, so Ohio State lost the Big Ten Championship game 13-10 to Indiana on Saturday night. In case you missed it, which I know you didn't if you're watching this show.
Maybe they're watching to catch the details.
We can break all that down for you and recount it for you. But then on Sunday, Ohio State still only dropped down to the number 2 seed, so they are going back to the Cotton Bowl for the third year in a row. They will play either Texas A&M or Miami. So, Nicole, we can focus on the negatives, which we're going to do. Or you can just look at the future and, like, Ohio State did figure it out after that 13-10 loss last year to Michigan, went on and won the national championship.
Well, you guys, I'm on this show because I like to find the positive.
That might happen.
I like to find the positive.
Balance us out.
And I really feel, I know I've heard everyone say, like, they played poorly. I think we played a good team, and I also think that this was good for the team. I know it sucks to lose. At the end of the day, it does. But I think that it's a good reminder to the team, like, okay, I don't know, it makes you want that win that much more.
Well, I think it's a lot easier for us to sit here and say this 13-10 loss, as befuddling as it was, certainly not as bad. In the way that we felt after the game last year and the loss to Michigan, where it's like, what is happening and how is Ryan Day proceed? All the conversation about his job security, like, this is very different. Ohio State went 12-0, and they only dropped 1 seed.
Exactly.
So if they get that wake-up call that you're talking about, it didn't actually cost them anything.
It's not
other than a little silver football.
6-5 Michigan team. This was a 12-0 team that was the number 2 team in the country who
all year long.
Yeah, they've looked very good. Like, this was, and I tried to tell people this. It was going to be I think my score was 28-20. I thought it'd be a little more high scoring, but this was not going to be a game where you'd be sitting back drinking a cocktail like Wisconsin circa 2014, where just party time scoring. Like, they're really good, and they force you to beat them. They do not make mistakes.
It was the 11-year anniversary of 59-0. I kind of wanted to sip a cocktail on Saturday night, Bob. Instead, I didn't. I was up until 3 a.m. Sober.
So was I.
It was.
I just also feel that if we were to get, like, if there's a rematch, like, if we end up playing them again, I kind of I like that we lost. Because then
there's no way this would happen again.
It's just, I like being in that position because then I just feel like you have a really good chance of winning it the second go around.
Regain the edge.
That's it. Find
the edge again. And I think that it's there. There's plenty of things to teach and coach off of. There's a lot of good things. There's some things that maybe weren't so good. What's interesting is, like they said, we didn't run the ball great, but I don't think we ran the ball terribly either. If you take out Julian Sachs, which was the bigger problem.
I mean, quite a problem.
Bo Jackson averaged almost 5 yards.
He had 80 yards?
Yeah, he had 83 yards and 17 carries. Like, he was effective. It wasn't dominant.
There were also like 3 that they were just like a shoestring away. And again, that doesn't justify it. No. But they were really close to cracking that game open. And by the way, those 2 drives in the second half,
cracks the game open.
Ben Sick a lot. Like they were marching up and down the field. It was obviously just the red zone problems that Jay-Z we've also talked about for 3 months.
Well, and that's the, it kind of goes back to the issue, well, not an issue, but the way we've played all season long is we're going to slow this game down. We're going to drive on you. I mean, we've had, multiple games where we've eaten up a ton of clock, and you eat up 15 minutes of clock in the second half. You just have to score. I mean, when you're inside the 10, I mean, you can't eat that clock up and come away with nothing because this is a team that can go out and do things. And we were down at that point in time anyway. So, the first one, I would have been okay with him going for it on both of them. Yeah. But, QB sneak, I was like, hey, all right, finally, QB sneak, here we go. And then, oh, nope, his knee, he slipped and his knee goes down. And,
2 weeks
they say the ball wasn't far enough there. And, all right, we lose that one. And I guess it's just like we played really well as we have all year from 10 to 10. And it's just like we just can't figure that out. And I'm tired of these 13 and 14 packages where it's just like we're not figuring it out. We've done this all year long. Why do we bring 22 people into the box when we don't do it very well?
Very well. And
it's just frustrating because every time, we got a big third and one coming. Nope. Shrink it down, and here we go. And it's like, this doesn't seem to work for us. Why do we keep banging our head against this?
I don't even know if it's like the tight ends with what they're doing. It may just be like offensive line.
Well, 1,000%. But when you bring everybody in, you're not spreading people out and saying, hey, we have two of the best wide receivers in the country.
What are you
You're going to have to worry about these two, and then maybe that opens a lane and for us to run.
Oh, yeah. You have to make decisions on who you're going to double and what you're going to do and how it's going to look. So that you're right, Justin. I mean, that's another piece of something that they've got to deal with and they've got to figure out. Moving forward, third down's not exactly great either.
We got our first third down in the middle of the third quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not you can't win that.
Well,
way,
that's not also not typical for this team.
Exactly,
like, they're very good on third down, and I think 4 of 12. Indiana what was theirs? They were, I don't know, maybe 6 of 13. I think is what it was.
And when you play the way we've played, you got to get third downs, right? Because you're slowing the game down. You got to keep the drive alive.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so that's what we've done. We haven't really tried. Like, we'll have some big hits, but we want to drive the ball and dominate the clock. And defensively, I will say defense I thought played good. I'm
not mad at you. Can't be mad at the defense at all. 13 points against that offense.
I'm gonna always just look and say,
fair enough.
Maybe you could have got the ball back at third down because people are like,
that 3rd and 5.
Defense got to play better. I'm like, listen, man. I mean, you give up 13 like against one of the top 5 scoring offense in the country. Like you've got
Heisman winner probably at the quarterback.
I have a theory about what could help the Ohio State defense, Bob, and that's if their opponents weren't allowed to legally hold them.
Oh my God!
Or tackle them to the ground.
How bad was that?
I thought, Kenyatta Jackson would have been, especially if you don't get ejected for headbutting a referee anymore, which is the new precedent in the Big Ten. I think that would have been entirely justified for him to do that because what was happening to him on Saturday night was absolutely insane.
There was some tackling,
criminal,
like legit tackling going on. And it brought me back to the Notre Dame A&M game where the Notre Dame's nose on the 4th down at the end of the game gets tackled. And people are like, well, it's one play. I'm like, but it's the last play.
It's a big play.
That wasn't like a 50-50 call. The guy jumped on his back from behind. I'm like, well, that happened to Kenyatta here. There's one on the edge where he like pulls him down, turns him. There's 4 or 5. And I get you're not going to get calls inside on things. There's a lot of holding that goes on. But when it's out in the open, it's that egregious. That's
when you have beat somebody and they are tackling you to the ground
from behind.
That's pretty much
a
flag.
The college football has to do something about that, like just in general, because that's the one thing is like holding over the top and like you keep it in, but like when you're beat and it's a salvage move to die, like they just don't call. I don't know how they're not calling that.
I don't know either,
and I don't know if it's the umpires just that bad or they're just choosing not to call it. I don't know which is which.
Yeah,
but even with all of that, like they played well enough. To be able to win defensively. You just wish maybe you could have got off a third down here or there. Maybe when they got some pressure on Mendoza, it was good, but it wasn't, people yelling, like, Arvell Reese should have been more involved. I'm like, well, they do different things. They were getting some pressure, and they should have had more.
Yeah.
Guys were winning, and maybe they thought that we can beat them up front with 4. We don't need to scheme up a whole lot more. And by the way, they're just going to hold those guys too. So why rush them?
Yeah, that a little bit of a sidetrack there on the journey for Ohio State. But if you're looking for your next adventure, head to Tansky Power Sports, your one-stop shop for ATVs, dirt bikes, golf carts, and more. Whether you're looking for speed, power, or versatility, Tansky Power Sports has something for literally everyone with the best brands and expert service. Visit Tansky Power Sports today at 2491 West Dublin Granville Road, or browse their huge selection online at TanskyPowersports.com. Tansky Power Sports, where the adventure begins, and it will continue for the Buckeyes, as we mentioned, Nicole, in the Cotton Bowl. And if we're looking for silver linings, it's not the Rose Bowl.
Well, and the Rose Bowl is fantastic, but the Cotton Bowl.
What are you laughing
really
at?
That's not
Justin?
what you said off camera, Nicole.
What are you laughing at?
No, it is incredible. I feel like everybody should go to the Rose Bowl.
It's
once.
beautiful.
I really do. It's beautiful. When you're hosting people on a logistical standpoint, it's just getting there, getting back. So those things, but it's still an incredible event. But I'm very excited we're going to the Cotton Bowl.
Well, now it's easy to get in.
Texas.
It's just one time zone.
Familiarity, Bob.
It's set up. Familiarity. The Hilton Anatole is a big, nice hotel. I mean, there's a lot of food. Like and
there's a lot of things to do around like the hotels that people are staying at, which is really fun.
I'm fine with it. Just it's like home away from home. And I know there were some questions, Bob, throughout the weekend, and I talked to Ross Bjork about what would be the preference? Where does Ohio State want to go if you're the top seed? What spots would be ideal? I think for Ohio State, you look at this, you're going to have to beat 3 really good teams no matter what. But it actually became a conversation on Sunday that even the Sugar Bowl was an option here because of the moving parts with playing Texas A&M in Dallas or Miami in Miami, and believe it or not, like Georgia having to play Tulane in New Orleans. I know that's not a huge fan base, but like there were a lot of geographical components and home field advantage things in here. Jerry World is like a home game for Ohio State, so even if they're playing Texas A&M, I don't think Ohio State had any concerns about that path, and if they can win that one, going to the Fiesta Bowl after that. In terms of locations and opponents,
it'll be interesting to see where Indiana, should they win, where they choose to go.
And
I think that'll be part.
It's locked in. They
already picked the.
Yeah, they would go to the Orange Bowl. Or excuse me,
Peach Bowl?
The Peach Bowl, yeah.
Okay, I was curious.
I like the Peach Bowl too.
Is Georgia the 3? So they would rather play Georgia in the Peach than go out west.
Well, Georgia.
Or no,
Ohio
we
State would
played
be in
Georgia.
the Fiesta Bowl.
That's right. Never mind. We're 2-3.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So good there.
Yeah, that's actually. Well, I think that's probably advantageous for both.
And Ohio State didn't want to play Georgia in
Atlanta
either. So
no.
Yeah.
I understand that.
I think that path is good. I think if you look at Texas A&M and Miami, we'll have plenty of time to break that down, depending on who wins. But like in terms of the way that the committee handled the seeding and Ohio State not really being punished, and then the location, I don't have any issue with the way the committee handled it on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, you dropped one spot, you lost the game by 3 points.
Well, I mean, they come out and say we're not going to hold it against these, and it worked out with Alabama too, right? They stayed right where they were before.
They're the only team that didn't drop at all.
Well,
not sure that makes a lot of sense.
No, but I mean, I do like what they're saying. Like, you're playing in this extra game, we're not going to kill you because of it.
I agree with that. What's interesting is since the advent of the playoff selection committee, Bodie, our producer, over at the Fan,
how did he take
he is a Notre Dame fan.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about him.
Did he take today off?
I got to see him tomorrow morning.
I was thinking when BYU went down and scored, he's probably like, "This is terrible." They just went down. They might win.
Did, yeah.
Which Notre Dame, I feel like for them to get in, they needed 2 things to happen. They needed Duke to probably not win, Virginia to win and get in, because then they could have said we have an ACC representation, so we're okay. And then you probably needed BYU to lose in a closest game, but not win. Lose in like a close game, closer. And like there's been like 88 conference championship games since they've been doing the selection committee. The losing team in the conference championship game has moved down 85 of the 88 times.
Gosh, I wonder what one of the. I bet there was more
3
than one
were
exception
probably
there.
all
Alabama. There's one with Georgia that's involved, and I forget who else is the third. But
imagine that.
Yeah.
Some of that it doesn't really impact Ohio State at all because they know what's in front of them. And Nicole, you mentioned sometimes there can be a benefit to losing and going back in there. We just saw that with Ohio State last year. So that's Ryan Day's got that in front of him with this team.
Did they have the players only meeting yesterday?
Well, they had a meeting at 12:45, which they don't always do it. We went in. I was watching the selection show in the team meeting room at the Woody on Wednesday.
I was texting Austin when are they gonna let us know? Because it was just dragging out.
It was dragging on. But then they're like, "Well, you have to get out of here. We're gonna have a team meeting at 12:45." I'm like, "That's not normally how this works," but they did. They handled all that. Now Caleb Downs was flying across the country to win some awards. Congratulations to him. Won the lot trophy on Sunday night. I think there's another one maybe in his future. But they immediately got to work on that and say, this is what the practice schedule is going to look like. Here's the things that we've got to get corrected. I don't think that there was, Bob, as much need for blood and sweat and tears the way that there was a year ago. But there still had to be hard conversations, Nicole. They have things that they know they have to get corrected.
It's never good to lose. I mean, I completely agree with that. It's never good, but this definitely gives them more drive. You know, like it's kind of like, oh, we were doing so great. And they should still be really proud of themselves for winning against Michigan. I mean, that feeling, like when I think of that, I was like, oh, I don't want this Big Ten loss to shadow how awesome of a game, you know, Michigan was. And so, but I think it just gives them drive. They learned a lot. And if anything, this team has shown they're really great at learning from their mistakes, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm excited to see how this run goes.
Yeah, we had Mike Bennett, an old friend of the program, on the post-game show Saturday night, and he brought up something I thought it was interesting. He's like, he felt like this defense and this team had been playing with like a manufactured chip on their shoulder all year. You know, after you get through Texas and they're just coming up with things that, you know, to go into each week. He says now they don't have that. You know, now they have a loss on their schedule, you know, on their record, and you know, now they just pin their ears back and go play off of that instead of having to each week kind of figure something out of, well, this quarterback's going to run all over us and we got to stop him. You know, like they're manufacturing that throughout the year. And now you got a loss and you got a team out there who's going to be in the playoffs who gave you that loss and you want to see them again and do everything you can to get there.
Yeah, it's interesting that Mike raised that point because Kenyatta Jackson talked on Wednesday night. He's like, we're still just a bunch of nobodies. And it's like, I'm not sure that you can actually make that claim. You look at the All Big Ten team and all the major awards, like Ohio State swept them all, and the Silver Bullets have been awesome. I agree that there is some of that is manufactured, but that can't be the case now, Bob. I mean, they know the situation.
They've got it, and defensively they still played well, but like it's always nice to have something to be able to coach off of and to be able to find something in there. Like, you know, pain and regret is a terrible thing, and so these guys now get to look at this, and you got plenty of time to think about it.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, was it 24 days, I want to say?
You're got New Year's Eve, so.
Yeah, 24 days until they play. I mean, so you've got time to let this marinate a little bit.
Especially with the break. Sorry, Bob, I didn't mean to interrupt. But I just think, like, you guys were saying about how last year the teams that had a bye, they all struggled. So us coming off a loss, I think, is going to also be an advantage. Whereas, you know, with the break, I think it'll be good for them.
You got to manage that. I mean, how do you stay sharp over this stretch?
Well, I think you downshift for a week, and those guys come in. I think they're going to have, you know, some lifts. I think they'll have a practice later this week. Get everybody moving again. And then you get into it, and you can probably do like a week of spring ball-esque training.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's super physical for the young guys, but even some of the older guys, like, we're going to lift hard, we're going to train hard, we're going to get back into this. Give us, you know, 5 to 8 days of that, and then we can kind of get into an extended prep period where then we can start looking at, you know, the team. But, you know, you start, 24 days. So say you take this, you know, most of this week, you start again next week, so that's 7. That's going to cut you down to 17. You can take those first 7-8 days and really lean in hard on training, give the guys a day off, and like, all right, now we're still got a day plus. And believe me, when you do that stuff, you're still sprinkling in things. But the other thing is you don't know who you play until, when do they, the 19th?
Next weekend, yeah, a week from Saturday.
Do they play, but when's Miami and A&M? That's Friday night, right?
Is that? I didn't even look at that.
I thought
it'll be not this weekend. It'll be next weekend, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's next. Yeah,
I thought last year we played on a Saturday. But
there's one game on a Friday
19th.
night. So that tells you how little we were paying attention.
Yeah. There's the two best games are Friday night and Saturday morning.
Okay.
Or Saturday at noon. Those are the two premier.
Did we play Friday at Tennessee last year? Or when Tennessee came here? Was that Saturday?
That was Saturday.
That was Saturday
evening. Notre Dame played.
Notre Dame, Indiana was
Friday night. So those are the two big games. The thing this year is, I don't know why ESPN was giving up those night windows, I guess, since Ohio State wasn't in it. They didn't want to go against the NFL. So they took the first two, TNT as the second two, which are going to be Oregon and JMU, and then Ole Miss and Tulane.
No need to watch those.
Yeah.
Those are going to be bloodbaths.
They're double-digit spreads. One of them's got a 2 on it.
Yeah. But that's the way it goes. That's the format we got.
So once you find that out, then you can really dive in. And when you're playing Miami and A&M, it's not like it's A&M or it's not like it's Ole Miss and Tulane. Like you need to probably prep for both a little bit. I mean, the lines are within a score, so there's a very real chance that Miami could win that game.
Yeah, you know what else you can dive into on an appetizer Threes day, Bob?
The best. This is what you need after a tough weekend.
Ooh.
The Mott stick.
Let's make it feel all better
really
inside.
They really do.
It cures everything.
$3 all day long, crispy on the outside, gooey on the inside.
They are so good.
The side of marinara sauce, you dip them in there. They just taste like home.
No, you could also combine that, Nicole, by coming in and getting some stocking stuffers, some Roosters gift cards.
You guys, we have our gift card promo.
Let's go.
For every $50 you spend, you get a $10 Rooster Buck. So it's like give a gift and receive.
And then you could take that $10 for yourself. You would come in to your local participating Roosters.
3 orders.
You could buy 3
That's
orders.
3 baskets of hot sticks.
Yep.
And I don't know what else you needed.
Let's party.
I mean, that's
I'll
it.
tell you what.
What else? What else is going on? You're very busy
I would
preparing
need
for
a
the
nap
Cup.
after 3 baskets of hot sticks.
What else is going on at Roosters?
Just the holidays. We're very excited. We're super appreciative to all of our guests that have given us like another great year. Very grateful, and just preparing for this game.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I know you love Texas.
You guys
I
open
do.
on New Year's Eve?
Yes, because of all the games.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
especially
and
now.
No. I need to check on that because New Year's Eve I need to look at our hours and see because we do close earlier
Like 6,
usually.
probably.
We do, but
5.
now with the game,
Game starts at 7:30 Eastern time.
Okay,
so.
then I'm almost positive we're open the entire day. Sorry, guys, I didn't look at that before today, but
It's the Buckeyes.
Subject
to
It'll
change,
be like
but-
a party.
yeah, the playoff games, like we used to be closed. We would close at 4:15 was like last call on New Year's Eve, and then we were closed on New Year's Day, and then once the game started on New Year's Day, we are open all day.
Yeah, you got to have Roosters because nothing
You gotta
goes
have a place to
together
go. Yeah.
quite like Roosters and Ohio State.
My
football,
family ate at Roosters 3 days this week.
so. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a heck of a
And
week.
I work there.
I'm
And Bronson would
jealous.
have gone again last night.
they're trying to keep up with Birm.
The menu is so wide and expansive. You can get anything.
Yeah.
That's
Thanks,
great.
guys.
When Birm
It
is in
good.
town, he eats at Roosters every single day. So,
They're putting one in
That's
Toledo
so
for him,
sweet.
so it'll be
oh,
closer.
they already did.
Yep.
Yeah, he's keeping them in business. There's no doubt about that. All right, so that's all going on. A lot more to discuss as we break down Ohio State's loss to Indiana and looking ahead to the Cotton Bowl when we roll right along here. Easy for me to say on the live show at Roosters, brought to you by Tansky Power Sports and Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems.
Roosters has been so fortunate. We just want to be able to give some of that back to the community.
They donate to organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long time.
They will always go above and beyond to help support our foundation to further help veterans.
It's just a wonderful feeling to know that Roosters supports the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Precision engineering, rigorous attention to detail. A Bryant Evolution heating system is so well designed, it's as much of a joy to install as it is to use.
Good to go.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
To make sure your family and home stay comfortable, contact Airflow Heating and Cooling at airflow.com.
Welcome back into the live show brought to you by Tansky Power Sports and Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems. And Birm is here.
Hey.
And I can tell you, maybe Monday is better, but the weekend, it was a rough one.
It's just good to see you here,
It was
buddy.
Okay, so here's
glad
the
you
thing.
made it today.
We talked about that game a little bit last week, and on Monday I was like, it doesn't have to be close. If Ohio State plays their game, and I still think that if Ohio State just scores 3 touchdowns in the red zone instead of a field goal and 2 drives without points,
You get maybe a score before half, and then it's
you don't even have to.
13
You
to
don't
6.
even have to.
Yeah.
They had 3 possessions inside of the 10-yard line. They got 3 points. And we keep talking about the 2 that they didn't score on, but they were also inside of the 10 after a 52-yard pass to Jeremiah Smith. And then as soon as getting to the line and getting fast and playing with tempo and getting aggressive, they just went right back to doing the same boring crap in the red zone that doesn't work. So that ends up being a field goal on what should have been a momentum-changing series. They let Indiana then come right back down and put a field goal on the board. And
the fact that Indiana stopped you, how do you field goal there? Like, you feel really good as a defense after that.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what we've been saying about Ohio State's defense all year. It's just limiting the damage.
It's and you watch it, and so I didn't think if you add, let's just put those those touchdowns on the board. It's 28-13. That's a pretty convincing win against the number 2 team in the country, and it shouldn't have to have been close. But then everything happened in the middle of the week, and you're like, okay, this feels just kind of disjointed. Don't like it. Saturday morning, we were sitting in the hotel room watching football. I'm like, man, I just don't have a feel for this game at all. Like, I all of a sudden, it's like I don't have any idea what the mood of this football team is, because we hadn't seen them in a couple days, which is normal. But like, because Ryan's been so insistent on process and all that stuff, we've
routine.
We've seen them, we've heard from them, all the other stuff, and it just felt like things were not right. And then walking into the game, I told Austin and Mick Walker, Letterman Row, I'm like, Ryan looks super uncomfortable right now. He does not look himself on the field. He was out there just kind of kicking the dirt around, walking around like, I don't love it.
You mean the pellets?
Yeah.
The coconut husks.
The coconut cardboard or whatever they've got out there. I was like, this doesn't feel right. And then you watch the team and they just look so disjointed. And then all those things, and it comes down, you still should have won the game. And you know, that's where it gets frustrating, because Ohio State is so talented. They're never at a talent disadvantage. So anytime they lose, it is always execution. Or
preparation
or prep. And I think that this week, I think that was clearly
how much of it do you think was
collision?
Obviously the Hartline thing in South Florida played into it some. But even
not even just the Heartline thing.
The signing day
Penn State was trying to hire Matt Patricia or interview him. Like, they had talked to him on Wednesday, then they were supposed to come back on Thursday, and on the way there, like, diverted and went to Ames, Iowa instead. Like, they're just all these weird little things, and I don't. You spent a lot of time with Matt Patricia, I'm sure, in the last couple months.
I told him he's not allowed to leave
during the week.
They need to put that contract. Birm said this last week, and I'll reiterate that contract offer needs to be in front of him right now. You don't need to wait.
Like, why play games here and
because he's going to get a raise.
Give other schools a chance to, or other.
He doesn't want to leave,
or NFL programs or other college schools. I just don't. Whatever. That's a totally different thing. Just get it done. Like, it's okay. You don't have to negotiate it. Just say, here's the contract.
What do you have when you came in? A 2-year deal?
I mean, that's been traditional.
Is that a traditional year?
I think.
No, anyhow, there are a couple more on there.
But then you obviously have
and a couple more minutes.
You have that going on. You have the Brian Hartline stuff going on. You have the signing day stuff, and Ohio State being forced to basically negotiate against itself for Chris Henry.
Well, that's the other thing, the signing day and then the Chris Henry saga, which it felt like
2 extra days.
That was more important to everybody I was talking to than like Indiana preparation.
Because Ryan Day is forced to worry about texting his agent during practice and calling his agent after practice and calling his agent before practice. And it's like all of these things are going on, and none of that is an excuse for the team to not be ready. Like, if that's part of your job, you get paid $11+ million a year, you better find a way to manage all that time and make it work. But it just didn't. And I'm telling you, it was very similar to a week ago when I watched Ryan Day walk out of the tunnel at Michigan. I said, Michigan's in trouble. And when I watched Ryan Day on the field on Saturday, I was like, Ohio State might be in trouble.
Yeah, I think there's a comparison that Ryan Day makes to preparing for a test and actually studying. And the smirk before Michigan, he knew that he had all the answers and that Ohio State was going to pass it. And I think on Saturday he was unsure. Like, he was, maybe the pieces were all there and you had done a lot of the work, but you didn't know every question you were going to
Part of it is, too, you played Michigan the week before. There was a good Michigan team that, obviously.
Was that different than Purdue?
That was the point.
With the week off before that?
Yeah, in Indiana, I mean, they played Purdue. It's a 50-point margin of victory or whatever the heck it was. So you're coming off of that. I just think the culmination of all of those things just made it a little funky for what you had to deal with. Plus, there was an idea, like, you thought it was going to be Indiana, but there was realms leading in that it could have been another team should something have happened.
So. But also, and I know people will hear that and think that it's just excuse making. It's not. I just don't. They weren't ready for that game, and I don't know why. I don't know who entirely is to blame. Obviously, the Brian Hartline stuff is going to be talked about as a regular issue, but that's what you have to deal with when you're at Ohio State. Every year that's going to happen. So until the college football calendar finds a way to fix some things, the Buckeyes will have to figure out a way in the future to not allow themselves to be so distracted.
Yeah, what did you think, Jay-Z, of that offensive game plan and Brian Hartline's role in that? I mean, Ryan Day is reiterating over and over that Brian, for whatever reason, there's still speculation. I mean, Birm and Bob and I, Jason.
I saw that he was not going to be with the team here through the rest of the playoff. That was
I did see something about that.
Someone put that on Instagram, and I was like, oh, and that's not. I didn't see anywhere else that was being reported.
Doesn't match the conversation that I had on Sunday in the Woody and Ryan Day was also saying it publicly. Brian was calling plays on Saturday night. He has called plays, and he's going to call the plays in the Cotton Bowl. Now, they reserve the right to change their mind.
Yeah.
And maybe at some point this double duty, because Brian Hartline, as we sit here right now, is in Tampa, Florida, not in Columbus, Ohio. So, I think Ryan Day is going to have to take a more influential role in the game planning.
It's a tough decision to make because you want your guy to finish out with you. And I saw the one clip I saw on Saturday morning of game day was Saban talking about it, and they're like, "Well, you told so-and-so you told Lane to leave." And he goes, "Yeah, fair, but we had went a week or two and we just didn't like how it was going. So, hey, we're going to go ahead and thank you for everything. This isn't that way yet, but they may get down to it. Brian's down in Florida all week, or however many days he is this week. Maybe that's a conversation they have. Like, hey, we really appreciate and know this isn't perfect, but maybe we do." And I'm not calling for that by any means. Brian's still giving everything he has to this. It's just a lot of stuff for him to juggle between staff and recruit. I mean, just everything that goes into what he's doing now.
Even if Brian Hartline didn't have that happen last Wednesday, the preparation for the Big Ten championship game is going to be different because of signing day. That was going to happen no matter what. But now you have, and Ryan Day said it during his press conference on Sunday, like, well, thankfully, he said, I'm going to have a lot more time to be involved in the game planning. So that is the next 3.5 weeks. And so whether it's Brian Hartline helping him or Keenan Bailey or Tyler Bowen or everybody, which I assume it will be everybody, you have to just kind of assume it's going to look a lot better on December 31st.
Well, you would hope it would look a lot better.
I don't. We've seen this happen at Ohio State before. Tom Herman had no problem balancing it in 2014, but the world was a lot different in 2014.
Yeah, there was no portal. There was no
a lot of different things going on.
I mean, right now, this week, these guys are having to have the conversations with their guys in the room of what their futures look like.
NFL draft, transfer portal conversations, all that, right?
Yeah, and so that's what they're doing, and so I'm sure Brian will be able to manage that and handle all that. And really, this week you're not doing a whole lot anyway. It'll be more a function of, okay, next week you're starting to juggle some of the portal stuff down there. How's your staff looking? Who have you?
About the time we know who we're going to be playing, he's going to be a lot.
If this week was relevant to game planning, Brian Hartline would be in Columbus. That's the bottom line. So he's not there because the players are not there. And Ryan, even this week, is like, I'll be around. I got nothing going on. Like, it's nothing really happening.
I got nothing going
this
on.
week.
I don't know if that's really
you know what he's he's not like he's in there grinding.
Yeah, relative to his normal
day.
schedule.
Right.
Like, you can't go out and recruit. Like, there's no recruiting to be done.
The class is signed,
Yeah, Ryan might get involved in some of the conversations of coming and going, what that looks like.
I'm sure they're reviewing portal entries, they're doing that kind of stuff, and evaluating guys like that. But this week and the next week are about preparing for a game that you don't know who you're playing.
Yeah.
So you can't really get into game planning until December 20th anyway.
Some of this stuff, Bob, I think, Ryan Day is going to be more influential in the game planning process, but that's not dissimilar from the way Ohio State did a year ago. Once you got to the playoff and all the other stuff kind of faded away from the CEO, like even when Chip Kelly was there, this doesn't have anything, it has something to do with Brian Hartline, but Ryan Day was going to be more involved in the postseason no matter what. Once you get to these playoff games, like no stone is left unturned. So he was doing that a year ago, and he's going to do it again now.
Yeah, like you said, the other responsibilities are all stripped away. Once you realize what your guys are doing, and then you start making your targets in the portal. But, the NIL is a different space than it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, from how it's managed now. And the infrastructure that's built up, your players are here, who you're keeping, who you're going, like who's healthy, who's not. But I do like the fact you get a couple weeks off, you get some guys to get healthy. Everybody looked good on Saturday night. But it's never bad to get them back in the weight room. Maradi will get with them a little bit. But, Ryan, this is the slowest time for these coaches that they probably have all year. It's like on the cusp of the big, most important things, but you don't know who you're playing, so there's nothing to do.
Is this a big 2 weeks for Mick in the weight room?
I think so.
I think he did a great job last year having these guys ready to rock. I mean, these 2 weeks here, maybe they hand off to him a little bit.
They had a very spring ballish feel last year when they were going through the preparation and training. And so maybe not as much this week. End of this week, they'll start probably ramping it up. But I bet next week will be a pretty solid lift in practice week. I think they're out of school by this point and getting a chance to kind of go at it and spend all day at it.
Yeah. And I know that there's a lot of people who will watch this and think that's excuse making, but there are a few things I think Ohio State fans should be very concerned about, that I, as an Ohio State fan, as someone concerned about. The conversation all year long has been the issues are always there. You can't wait for a loss to fix them, right? Okay, so why didn't they get fixed? Because the red zone issue has been there all year long. It's not a surprise. The right guard issue has been there all year long. 3 weeks ago, Ryan Day, in the post-game press conferences, well, you guys all saw what I saw. So, like, those are not things that are new. So just because Tegra Shabola and the right side of the offensive line played a lot better a week ago against Michigan doesn't mean the issue is fixed.
But it's a very different type of defense with how they
Much
play.
different. All the slanting the defensive line was doing, totally different. A lot of free runners. I get it. And then there's the other side of it, which is Ryan Day saying a month ago on the Pat McAfee show, or 3 weeks ago, when it's time to step on the gas, we're going to step on the gas. And that didn't happen on Saturday, when clearly you needed to step on the gas in order to put Indiana at a disadvantage. Not going any tempo in that game.
I was surprised there was no tempo.
End of the first half surprised the heck out of me. We had 2.5 minutes to go, and we did nothing with it.
I'm not even I don't even have a problem with that, really. If you get the first down there, I think things change.
I thought they did there on that.
No, they got sacked on third down. So once that happens, like, okay, this is now you're like, try to waste some time. I don't even have really a problem with that. Him and I talked about it on Saturday, but I thought the third down play on the first red zone possession in the second half, the one that led to Julian on the sneak, I thought the sneak should have happened on third down. But that's irrelevant.
Or just not a sneak with Julian Sand, because this is 2 weeks in a row.
Carnell Tate off the field. Like, you just can't keep taking Carnell and Jeremiah off the field. You are doing your opponent a favor. Stop doing that.
You know, there was a band back in the 70s that featured didn't have a lot of songs that featured the cowbell. And they said he'd be doing themselves a disservice and every member of this band if you didn't perform the hell out of this. I feel like maybe that's it, by taking them off the field. Yeah,
you're taking your cowbell away.
Yeah,
and that's like what you're known.
Need more Carnell.
More Carnell.
The cowbell / Carnell is why people know who you are.
Yeah.
So play the cowbell, and when you take those guys off the field, the defense, you can see it. They're like, whew, thank goodness.
Oh, as a corner, like, all right, I'm good.
Well, yeah. We're just gonna go play in the box and cover a couple tight ends, maybe, if they come out.
Fourth string tight end or Carnell Tate. Yeah. I don't know, which assignment do I want.
I don't know.
That's where I mean, if I think about Saturday from a frustration standpoint, that's where I go, because these are things, and Ryan Day said all year, the problems are always there. Well, the problems are still there, and they didn't get
They're the same problems. You look up on a 3rd and 1 in the goal line, you're like, it's all shrunk in. Like, we knew this.
Stop taking Bo Jackson off the field.
Then there's that, too.
Inside of the 5-yard line.
You think about the things throughout this year that we've talked about, and in the moment, they're still winning every game by 3 touchdowns. Like, it does feel nitpicky, but the reason that we've talked about Tegra Shabola and right guard rotation or red zone deficiency is because when you get to games that matter, those are the ways that you could lose. And they did lose because of those things on Saturday night.
I wonder how much had to do with Padilla, being out for the last
Gabe Van Sickle played a great game, and the 2 most productive drives that they had up and down the field were with
And the
Gabe
crazy
Van Sickle
part is,
out there.
about 3 weeks ago, we went into, I don't know what game week it was, but it was like, we're going to look at the right guard. And then Tiger played like the next 3 weeks, and nobody else did. And it's like, all right, well, maybe they figured this out. Maybe that did light a fire. And then he played Michigan very well.
He played every single snap against me.
And then it's just like, all right, here we are. And in the 3rd quarter of the Big Ten championship game, we're taking him out and basically benching him.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he came back in after he went out.
He did not. I mean, he got I believe he played the first drive of the 3rd quarter. That didn't work out. Then they played Gabe Van Sickle the rest of the way.
What, you mean the 2 back-to-back sacks for a loss of 22 yards
those were the ones.
Wasn't ideal?
No, those didn't.
After you had 3 runs that got you to midfield and you were gashing them on the ground, then you decided to start passing the ball for some reason, and then you gave
What do you want, more passes? Or
yeah,
more
I don't know.
I want you to do what's working.
You want Carnell on the field or
but
off
there
the
were
field?
also opportunities where Ohio State got in its own way by something would work, and they would immediately do it again, and then he'd be like, well, we just saw this, and we're going to stop. I did that with the run game. It's like, okay. I didn't really understand the game plan, and as Bob, you alluded to this when you're talking about not just the score, but the way Ohio State loses. Like, they have to beat themselves, and they did. Like, period. I don't know that there's any other argument against
but
that.
Indiana's
Indiana
good.
deserves credit.
They are
They're a
good.
good team. But, I think Ohio State lost it more than Indiana won it. That's my personal opinion.
Not great on third down. Not great in the red zone.
Didn't get off.
Special teams didn't kill us, which I was kind of worried about.
They did miss a few.
My bad. I was thinking punt block and punt return, but the field goal. So special teams wasn't good.
Oh, and we didn't handle their pass rush particularly well. Like, their defense swarmed.
Yeah.
Like, we did not.
I don't think we had answers for them bringing pressure.
No.
Like, a lot of times I'm like, all right, they're blitzing here. Replace him with a really good receiver and throw him the ball instead of holding on to it. None of that seemed to happen.
Yeah.
Going against a team that you knew was going to bring pressures, you knew was going to try and mix things up a little bit. I don't know how they don't have a slant. This guy comes, slant, right behind him. And just
screen game.
Yeah. It seemed very strange. And I think my frustration with the end of the first half was just, you always talk about winning the middle eight. You got over 2.5 minutes to go down and put a score on board or kick a field goal or something, and it just felt like we were lackadaisical and just, all right, we're huddling, we're taking our time. And I understood it for the most part, but at some point I just wanted to see something to try and go win that middle eight because we weren't at that moment in time. And we didn't coming out in the third quarter either.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you get into that position on that final drive of the first half. You feel like if you get a first down, then you start picking things up. But you get sacked on third down.
Well, the third down
and
sack,
so you're like, well, okay, this drive's over. And then you come out in the second half. You establish the run early. Bo Jackson played a pretty good game. I know people are going to look at the total yardage rushing wise.
Yeah, he almost 5 yards.
Like, he had 4.9 yards a carry. Was the leading rusher in the football game. For all of the discussion about Indiana and their offense, like, Bo was the leading rusher in the game. But why is he not out there? Why is he not touching the football on 3rd and 1 multiple times?
Yeah.
Or 4th and 1? Just you load up with 14 personnel, and then you roll out and you throw one. You have one receiver in a route, and you're running like an out to the sideline on the short side of the field. It's just weird stuff that just was not.
Like to run to the short side of the field a lot too.
You're rolling Julian left and forcing him to throw. I don't know. It just wasn't. It just didn't seem like a well thought out plan, and that's when you lose.
So coming out, they had an 11-yard pass first.
Yeah,
down.
the very first play we got a first down.
But then they had a 2-minute,
and then
2-minute timeout. Then they ran a 4-yard run, and then after that was the sack.
Because I thought we got a first down like right away. I'm like, all right, let's get up to the. And like I thought we had time before the 2-minute went, and we just kind of got in a huddle and let the clock run. And I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
like, let's go try at least. I know we wanted to not give them the ball back without a lot of time, so I get some of that, but it just didn't seem like we had any urgency whatsoever, like we weren't even worried about it.
Yeah, well, it didn't work.
No, a 3rd down sack, I get that part.
But also,
there was a time when Julian Sayin didn't get sacked.
Yeah,
he used to be a time got credit for it.
Throughout a whole year, we had 6, and then in one game, we had 5.
That to me is the most befuddling thing.
Yeah, and they pass pro'd very well all year long, and that's the one thing they did seemingly do well, and this game they just lost.
Yeah, I mean, Indiana deserves a lot of credit for that. They confused Julian. They muddied the picture, and
they did.
And he did not handle the pressure very well in the first half. I thought he played pretty well in the second half. The offense was not a problem in the second half.
The red zone offense.
And his numbers, 21 to 28 or 29? I mean, like his numbers are actually pretty good for
not bad.
Kind of how that first half went.
Just when the red zone and on 3rd down wasn't as good as you need to be. And a lot of those were sacks on 3rd down. And there could have been more. He was under duress.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. Obviously, last year, coming out of the Michigan game, you knew the day after exactly who you were playing. You had 3 weeks to prepare. The game plan for Tennessee sort of reflected that, I thought. Like, you come out, you're aggressive. When you're in this situation, I mean, you've been in the NFL playoffs at some point in your career. When you don't know who you're playing.
I had one bye. We lost out of it. We were the 1 seed.
How does that affect things when you, like, that week, in this case 3 weeks or 2 weeks, when you don't know who you're playing? How do you handle that different?
I think it's you go good on good and work on some of the things. Like you go red zone and you work your butt off on it. You do some 3rd down. You have your defense scheme up some stuff. Like play us how Indiana played us. Let's go do some of that. Move around and challenge our offense significantly. I'm guessing that those will be some of the things that you'll get to. And try to work and kind of hone back in on some fundamental stuff that you've been maybe, sliding over a little bit when you get deep in the thick of the season.
But are the coaching staffs right now watching tape on Miami and A&M?
Might catch a little bit of both of them. Yeah, 100%. They're the advanced guys that are scouting. Like they're looking at both and seeing what's out there with them because they're different teams very different teams on how they play. I mean, Mike Elko is a really good coach. I don't think they're quite as talented as Miami, but they're better coached.
Better disciplined.
Better disciplined.
Less likely to make a backbreaking mistakes.
But
yes.
We'll have plenty of time to get into that.
Miami just let them beat themselves.
You can let Carson Beck go beat himself. That's for sure. And maybe he will do that. It looked like that was the Saturday at noon game when they flashed the bracket up there, Bob. But I don't remember. I still don't know that because.
But also, if you're an Ohio State fan, you have a couple weeks of an opportunity to buy tickets for a game.
Buy the tickets.
Buy the tickets now.
Get the flights. Buy the tickets. Start driving now.
Start driving.
Especially because if Texas A&M wins, the price of those tickets is going to go up dramatically. So grab those now. We have already made all of our travel arrangements to get back down to Texas. That is a holiday tradition for the Austin and Birm Show. We'll figure out what we're going to be doing for that final pregame episode of the live show when we get there. But that's a conversation for another day. We still have next Monday, and we'll still be talking about either Texas A&M or Miami.
Next 2 Mondays?
Next 2 Mondays.
Oh.
Well, at least we'll know who we're playing the second Monday.
Second time. We'll actually have some answers to that. But we'll still be talking about the Buckeyes when we come back in here next week with the entire team on Olentangy River at Roosters. The room is awesome. Don't miss it. You can host some holiday parties back here.
That's a heck of an idea, Austin.
You can see, is Jay-Z's photo up?
No, they threw that one away.
No, they've got him. I saw they were trying to
they were in here last week.
Yeah, they're trying to find just the right spot for that. But thanks to Nicole Cox and the team at Roosters. Thanks to Jay-Z and Bob. Thanks to Birm. I am Austin Ward. This has been The Live Show, brought to you by Tansky Power Sports and Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems at Roosters. Fun, casual joy.